Here's what no one wants to admit about Beyond the Gates. The show isn't losing viewers because of haters. It's losing them because the writing is wobbling like those raggedy hospital elevators. Beyond the Gates appears determined to prove that even a show with limitless potential can drift into tedium once the drama wanders past those infamous gates. The current storylines are growing so thin they could be used as hospital gowns. Appropriate, given that Fairmont Crest, a supposedly respectable county hospital, is operating elevators that look one rattle away from a lawsuit. And then there is Vanessa, who seems to be engaged in a long-distance relationship with her own common sense. She needs no reminder that she is a grieving widow, yet Joey insists on reiterating it as though she has misplaced her memory, along with her late husband. His devotion would be admirable if it did not smell faintly of ulterior motives, particularly when he is so adamant about keeping their public appearances to a minimum. Shielding her, he says. Of course. Nothing says noble protector like a man who refuses to be seen. Meanwhile, the romantic ecosystem is collapsing faster than a soap opera marriage. Derek and Andre are out, which raises the inevitable question: who exactly is left for Ashley to date? At this rate, the writers may have to start recycling characters from other networks. Eva, ever the fashion theorist, continues braving December in a midriff sweater and micro mini, complaining about the cold while dressed like the weather report personally offended her. The wardrobe department might consider granting her a fabric allowance, preferably one that also includes a proper manicure, since the camera seems intent on highlighting every cuticle. The show's resident nostalgia experiment, featuring younger Danny and Bill, has ignited an entirely different species of outrage. Evidently, some viewers have forgotten that Black people come in more than one skin tone, and that actors, astonishingly, are hired to act. If historical casting choices like Poitier as Thurgood Marshall or Diana Ross as Billie Holiday were acceptable, surely two young performers portraying a fictional couple should not trigger existential crises about shade charts. The uproar over age, complexion, and manufactured authenticity reveals a peculiar willingness to nitpick a predominantly Black soap, one that finally employs a cast and crew reflecting its audience, while ignoring the point entirely. The scene radiated happiness, the chemistry worked, and the actors delivered. But why enjoy that when one can instead debate the Pantone values of fictional spouses? Other dangling threads continue to dangle. The Dr. Joey supposedly ran off the road is almost certainly alive, if only because soap law requires every body to resurrect at least once. Martin's bond with his grandfather remains inexplicably deeper than anything he shares with Ted, whose emotional connection to his own son appears to have been misplaced somewhere between scenes. Ted, however, has found time to exchange amorous glances with Shanice, proof that the writers are indeed listening, perhaps a bit too literally, to the audience's suggestions. And through all the chaos, one truth remains constant. Viewers can critique, question, or spiral into elaborate conspiracies, but the real challenge is recognizing when commentary adds value and when it simply hands two young actors, or an entire show, yet another hurdle to climb. Beyond the Gates may be wobbling, but it is still an accomplishment worth protecting rather than tearing apart for sport. An OG voice insists the show will be watched regardless. The hope, one suspects, is that the writers will eventually return the favor. Are you trying to make sense of a love triangle that somehow has 7 people in it? The latest tangle of interpersonal acrobatics unfolds with all the subtlety of a marching band in a library. Ted and Shanice appear to be circling each other with the kind of chemistry that soaps deploy when they want the audience to just go with it. His inexplicable decision to call her Eve only heightens the sense that he's still married, if only in his imagination. The elevator scene telegraphed its intentions from a mile away, yet somehow still managed to spark the inevitable chorus of approval from those convinced these two should just get on with it. Shanice's proximity to Nicole raises a more interesting question. Exactly how close are they, and how awkward will things become once Ted finishes whatever emotional obstacle course he's running? Of course it is, as defenders remind everyone, just a soap, the universal disclaimer for narrative leaps normally reserved for gymnastics qualifiers. Meanwhile, Vanessa continues her campaign to redefine grieving widow as woman aggressively promoting her late husband's replacement. Her fixation on publicizing her connection to Joey suggests she's determined to keep one heel planted in high society, while the other dangles precariously over the underworld. Joey, for his part, now inspires such fear that even Smitty's attempt at confrontation felt like a man swatting a hornet and hoping for applause. The repercussions, naturally, are forthcoming. In another corner of the drama, Andre seized his moment by stepping in with a confidence that should be shipped to museums for preservation. Politely dismissing Bill, reclaiming his wife, and sealing the conversation with a kiss. The performance was refreshing, especially in a landscape where Bill, despite a track record that should have exiled him from romantic eligibility years ago, continues to attract affection with the persistence of a medically unexplained phenomenon. One would think he carries the cure for a terminal illness in his genes, given how many characters remain hopelessly devoted to him. Danny's continued indulgence of Bill, after an extended history of humiliation, stands in striking contrast to her near-militant outrage toward Ted. Her insistence that Nicole maintain the same level of fury remains one of the show's more baffling emotional equations. Yet the gravitational pull between Bill and Danny is unmistakable. Regardless of how many new partners orbit them, the narrative seems determined to drag them back into each other's arms, if only to maintain the cosmic balance of recycled romances. Even Andre and Ashley radiate a compatibility that all but guarantees a symmetrical reshuffling of relationships. Tyrell's earlier warmth toward June appears to be cooling, though whether this signals an actual shift or merely the show's commitment to keeping every pairing in a permanent state of maybe remains unclear. Vernon's sudden transformation, announced via leather jacket, adds a charmingly blunt touch, as if wardrobe alone could confer criminal gravitas. Nathan, meanwhile, continues to display textbook teenage disdain toward Samantha, ensuring that emotional injury is not a matter of if, but when. Through all of it, one thing is certain: the ensemble is deeply committed to rearranging itself into every possible permutation, no matter how improbable. And as long as sparks keep flying, predictably or otherwise, the drama will continue its relentless churn. Here's the truth no one's saying out loud. A Bill-Danny reunion isn't nostalgia, it's narrative sabotage. The latest wave of storylines unfolds with all the grace of a malfunctioning elevator. Fitting, considering how many characters now seem determined to use one as a matchmaking device. First Ashley and Andre, then Ted and Shanice. At this point, the building's real liability isn't structural, it's romantic. Of course, none of this answers the more pressing question: why summon Eva in an emergency when a simple press of the fire button would do? But practicality has never been this group's strong suit. Vanessa's own crisis is less mechanical. She remains blissfully unaware that Joey's heart is elsewhere, possibly in storage, considering how often he treats her like a convenient emotional dumping ground. Meanwhile, Danielle and Andre's marriage continues to look suspiciously functional, as if two adults behaving like compatible partners were some sort of plot twist. It's almost unsettling. Elsewhere, the Cougars maintain their mystique with enviable confidence, and June's return prompts speculation about whether Regina will reappear so Tyrell and Samantha can reconnect with an aunt who might actually stabilize Samantha for once. Ted, on the other hand, seems destined for Shanice or June, essentially anyone who isn't Nicole. Speaking of destiny, Danny's impending revenge on Haley remains a tantalizing mystery. One hopes it's more creative than elevator flirtation, which Ashley executed with such spectacular tackiness that Andre's rejection felt like a public service. Her whiplash transition from Derek to a married man was bold, if not exactly dignified. As for Bill, his choices continue to define the lower limits of wisdom. The man didn't merely leave Danny, he purchased a home in the same place they built their life, paraded Haley around, and demanded respect for the new arrangement. His karmic return is practically overdue. Some insist the Duprees would treat him better had he pursued a simple divorce, rather than perform a public humiliation ritual, but revisionist sympathy seems generous. Still, rumors swirl that he and Danny are fated for reconciliation, complete with swooning Winterfest melodrama, in which he collapses and she abandons Andre to resume her role as Bill's emergency contact. A tragic possibility, if only because Danny deserves a partner, not a rerun. Which brings us to the matter of acceptance. Apparently, Kat is expected to embrace Eva with open arms, while Bill demands the same for Haley, as if emotional amnesia were a moral duty. Yet Bill has neither crawled across coals nor endured even a symbolic splash in shark-infested water, nothing resembling actual contrition. And still the whispers persist. Why not give Bill another chance? Perhaps because regression is not character development. Meanwhile, theories multiply. Some suspect Haley's associate is an undercover cop, hence why her alleged potion hasn't taken full effect. Doug is mysteriously alive, and the real target may be Joey. Others wonder whether Randy actually gave Haley poison at all, considering Bill remains suspiciously vertical. Shanice and Ted emerge as the favored pairing. Anyone but Leslie seems to be the consensus, especially since she's now stuck in an elevator with him for reasons that surely have nothing to do with narrative convenience. And viewers have not failed to notice the persistent shots of Danny spotting Andre and Ashley at the bar, a scene replayed often enough to suggest upcoming turbulence. Finally, the possibility of Danny's real-life pregnancy being woven into the storyline opens the door to yet another future for her and Andre, one far saner than the perpetual Bill cycle. With all this unfolding, the only real certainty is that chaos remains the default currency of these characters' lives. Whether it's failed potions, misused elevators, or emotional boomerangs masquerading as soulmates, the drama continues to generate more questions than answers, some entertaining, others baffling, all undeniably addictive. Here's what no one wants to admit about this season. The men are acting circles around everyone else. The men of this endlessly dramatic universe have suddenly decided to deliver actual performances, and the result is startlingly competent. Derek, Andre, Bill, Martin, Vernon. Each one appears to have located his long misplaced script and for once read it. Martin, in particular, has transformed into the steadfast defender no one expected. Announcing that someone should grow a thicker skin while simultaneously standing guard like a loyal sentinel is an impressive contradiction, but somehow he pulls it off. Derek, meanwhile, managed a rare feat. Confronting Ashley without either collapsing into self-pity or detonating in self-righteousness. He held her accountable, she finally owned her choices, and both emerged with dignity intact, a shocking development for two people who typically treat communication like an extreme sport. Andre exudes the calm confidence of a man who believes his marriage is impervious, even while wading through Haley's emotional minefields. The only concern is whether Danny will take that confidence and turn it into a punchline, given that their union nearly evaporated over an ill-advised attempt to rile Bill. And Bill, eternally pining, eternally confused, remains incapable of disguising his yearning. Every scene radiates, longing husband wanders past the life he threw away. The sort of melodrama that practically begs for a violin cue. He misses his family with such intensity that it's a wonder he hasn't started haunting doorways. His moment with Vernon, however, revealed the show's rare ability to offer something thoughtful. The writing, the acting, the emotional precision, it all landed. Vernon, with his grounded wisdom and quiet strength, continues to be one of the few characters who appears to have completed basic adult development. Anita, by all evidence, chose well. Elsewhere in the chaos, Andre owes Joey gratitude for inadvertently creating the time and space needed for a relationship to grow. Bill seems to be experiencing that classic revelation. Value becomes clearer when it disappears, which may explain his sudden sentimentality about Danny and the Duprees. Nicole and Shanice's alleged friendship remains a mystery, mostly because nothing they do suggests the presence of one. Vanessa, meanwhile, rockets through relationships with such velocity that one hopes she has airbags. Joey certainly senses the danger. Her behavior oscillates between impulsive and outright alarming. Ashley continues to inspire bafflement. Certain characters behave as though she possesses rare, luminous qualities, invisible to the untrained eye. Yet her primary skill appears to be sustained complaining. The public service announcement moments on homelessness, responsibility, real-world challenges are ironically the most grounded parts of the show, serving as brief reminders that reality exists somewhere outside these relationship mazes. Speculation, of course, flourishes. Ashley's mother might arrive at Winterfest and unwittingly drag Derek into another cyclone of misplaced jealousy. Vanessa might be orchestrating Joey's downfall, or perhaps simply stumbling into it through poor judgment. Tyrell continues to wield bitterness like a personality trait. Ted wanders the halls clutching a folder with the conviction of a man whose medical degree might be decorative. His wedding ring still gleams, though its purpose remains unclear. And a growing faction would be delighted to see Derek abandon the Ashley storyline entirely. The suggestion that he pursue Cheryl isn't born of romance, it's born of narrative exhaustion. In a world overflowing with emotional turbulence, redundancy may be the only sin the audience refuses to forgive. Here's what no one wants to admit about Ted, Shanice, and that conveniently broken elevator. The latest episode arrives with all the subtlety of a runaway train, and naturally, the audience is expected to strap in and pretend everything makes perfect sense. The burgeoning chemistry between Ted and Shanice, for instance, seems designed expressly to send Nicole into an emotional tailspin. Convenient, yes. Subtle, absolutely not. And yet, their elevator entrapment feels like the world's most obvious setup, as though fate itself is begging Shanice to make choices she will regret. She should leave Teddy to Leslie, the clear connoisseur of chaos. Meanwhile, Vanessa continues to orbit Joey with the wide-eyed devotion of someone who has thoroughly succumbed to his inexplicable whip appeal. Her grief for Doug supposedly lingers, though it appears to coexist quite comfortably with Joey's gravitational pull. The prediction that she will end up in jail grows more convincing by the day, especially since Jacob seems poised to be the one to escort her there. Elsewhere in the chaos, Randy's behavior has grown suspicious enough to inspire theories of federal involvement. Given the trajectory, it would be almost polite at this point for him and Haley to simply get caught so everyone can stop pretending their storyline has anywhere left to go. Haley, incidentally, appears to have misplaced her wedding ring, signaling that she may be over bill. And frankly, who could blame her? The show's attempts at flashbacks remain unintentionally comedic. The engagement scene featuring actors who resemble Danny and Bill about as much as fruit resembles architecture is a particular standout. Still, today's younger Danny and Bill sequence manages to offer a rare glimpse of their pre-Haley family life, refreshingly ordinary, devoid of screaming matches, and actually enjoyable. Bill, however, remains as confounding as ever. His motives toward Danny and her family are difficult to decipher, especially given the small matter of abandoning her for his daughter's friend, parading that relationship around the neighborhood and expecting everyone to greet him with warm, neighborly affection. Perhaps his sudden visits to Vernon were meant to illuminate something profound, yet the scenes land with all the purpose of a misdelivered package. Vernon's doting grandfather act continues to charm, but his darker edge is infinitely more compelling. As for Danny, her interactions with Andre carry a distinctly different electricity from the stiff, obligatory affection displayed between Bill and Haley. Whether Danny is being genuine or merely playing Andre remains up for debate, though she and Bill appear to have rediscovered a precarious common ground. Complicated, of course, by Bill's lingering feelings. Naomi may wish to stop overanalyzing before she sprains something. Elsewhere in the romantic free-for-all, Isaiah has accelerated his relationship with Eva at a speed that even Eva and Leslie, no strangers to warp-drive romance, might find impressive. Their restaurant kiss leaves little doubt about their intentions, though Eva's sudden commitment to taking the scenic route adds a surprising touch of restraint. Ashley, armed with a ticket to Winterfest and an exhausting level of emotional volatility, seems ready to deliver a grand confession to Andre. Unfortunately, her timing is catastrophic, considering Haley has already begun sowing doubts about whether Danny can truly commit to him alone. One should expect nothing less from a storyline that refuses to retire itself gracefully. The Ashley-Derek saga, in particular, has long overstayed its welcome. Derek, on the other hand, is gently encouraged to date his friend, an overdue invitation to enjoy something resembling happiness. Meanwhile, Isaiah and Eva continue their high-speed emotional collision. Ted and Shanice flirt with disaster, and the audience clings to the hope that Danny, Bill, and Andre will eventually stop orbiting one another like confused satellites. Through all of this, the show remains the most entertaining daytime spectacle available. Brisk pacing, engaging cast, handsome sets, and plot twists that range from genuinely compelling to gloriously absurd. If Bill is wise, he will realize something is off with Haley. His remark about one man's tea being another man's poison could not be more appropriate. Perhaps he should drink none of it. In summary, the drama barrels forward with its signature blend of chaos, charm, and narrative gymnastics. Characters make choices, consequences loom, and Winterfest promises to bring the emotional equivalent of a natural disaster. Truly, daytime television at its finest. Here's what nobody wants to admit about Behind the Gates. The characters are more chaotic than the plot, and that's exactly why it works. The new year promises a milestone of great significance. Behind the Gates will finally be eligible for Daytime Emmy consideration in 2026. The anticipation is palpable. After all, nothing screams prestige like a soap opera ready to collect trophies for its signature blend of melodrama, questionable decisions, and characters who treat self-awareness like an optional accessory. Naturally, the show's ascent to awards season glory inspires a flood of suggestions. Perhaps the boldest proposal is the call to turn Ashley into a multi-personality whirlwind, complete with an evil alter ego. It's a charmingly subtle hint that the character might benefit from dimension. And speaking of characters who could use a narrative jolt, the recurring scenes of Danny, Bill, and their daughters raise the question of whether Ted, Nicole, and their children have been locked in an off-screen witness protection program. Season 2 could consider allowing them to exist. Relationships, of course, remain the series' lifeblood. Eva and Isaiah are being hailed as the couple destined for greatness, assuming the inevitable resurfacing of an ex doesn't derail everything, which, in a soap, is less a possibility and more a contractual requirement. Their pairing is also seen as a potential refuge for Eva, who could use a break from the gravitational pull of her mother's chaos. Onlookers appear optimistic that Isaiah might help repair Eva's image, as though one date is all that separates someone from ruin or redemption. Elsewhere, the romantic chessboard continues to expand. Vanessa's rapid entanglement with Joey has raised more than a few eyebrows. Moving too fast, feels charitable. Ted and Shanice share an elevator crisis that some view as the first sparks of forbidden chemistry. Assuming they can escape before Leslie arrives, tears the doors off the hinges and ends the show early. Naturally, the question arises, who should serve as Ashley's next love interest? Ideally, someone less demonic than the person Bill is currently accused of sharing a bed with. The fashion department has also attracted input, with calls for Shanice to adopt a fresh hairstyle, something glamorous or sharply cropped to match the intensity of her storyline. Meanwhile, Samantha's practical proposal to Martin about healthcare was promptly dismissed by him, perhaps because listening to sound advice would disqualify him from participating in the show's overarching theme of avoidable conflict. Vernon, at least, appears able to detect trouble, as demonstrated by his expression upon discovering Vanessa and Joey together at the casino. Viewers express concern that some characters' children veer into brat territory, while certain adults demonstrate an inspiring refusal to learn anything at all. Take Danny, who generously pardons Bill after public humiliation, yet remains furious with Ted and insists Nicole do the same. The call for her to seek a partner with an actual backbone does not feel unreasonable. Ted continues to disappoint in this category. His failure to shield Nicole from Leslie's theatrics inspires little confidence in his ability to defend anyone else, especially when Leslie's metaphorical fangs inevitably re-emerge. Those waiting for Ted to transform into a pillar of strength may want to pack a lunch. Meanwhile, Vanessa grieves with admirable creativity by reinventing herself as a madam and courting a known gangster. Derek, on the other hand, might be better suited to a career as a professional 911 caller, given his knack for stumbling into dramatic emergencies. Predictions abound regarding Eva and Isaiah's first date, specifically when the relationship will escalate physically, because priorities must be maintained. There is also mounting curiosity about Samantha's mysterious phone call, lingering suspicion about Nathan, and ongoing speculation about who will ignite the next chain reaction of chaos. In true soap opera form, the advice from some corners is simple. Everyone should brace themselves. And finally, despite the intensity of the commentary, there remains a lingering observation that certain viewers may be taking this fictional universe a touch too seriously. But passion is the engine of daytime drama, and Behind the Gates thrives on being taken exactly that seriously. With Emmy eligibility approaching, all that's left is to see whether the Academy embraces the spectacle as enthusiastically as its audience. If the award for most spiraling plotline or most creative emotional breakdown ever becomes a category, the competition won't stand a chance. Here's the uncomfortable truth about Vanessa and Joey. When Joey Armstrong becomes the responsible one, the universe is clearly off its axis. Vanessa continues her campaign to become the town's reigning disaster, and at this point, it's almost impressive. Each appearance arrives with the subtlety of a marching band, leaving bystanders, fictional and otherwise, wondering what curse they invoked to deserve front-row seats. Even Joey, patron saint of poor decisions, is practically begging her to stop being seen in public with him. When Joey Armstrong is the voice of reason, the situation has passed red flag and entered extended siren. Vernon and Martin have already mastered the art of silent judgment, observing the Vanessa-Joey circus with the weary expression of men who know calamity when they see it. Meanwhile, Vanessa seems determined to cash emotional checks she has absolutely no funds for, particularly where Winterfest is concerned. Inviting chaos appears to be her primary winter sport. Danny, at least, provides some respite. Her scenes with Vanessa offer rare clarity, though it's unclear whether Vanessa absorbed a single syllable of warning. Danny's own storyline, however, is heating up. Bill's jealousy over Andre was visible from space, predictable for a man who suddenly misses the warm glow of the family life he once treated like an optional subscription. The nostalgia is charming, though it conveniently ignores the part where he detonated the relationship himself. His alleged once a cheat, always a cheat reputation seems to be the one area where he delivers consistent results. Andre and Danny, on the other hand, continue to work astonishingly well together to the point that any age gap becomes a non-issue. Bill, by contrast, now somehow looks too old for everyone, including his latest ill-advised fling. Haley's influence lingers suspiciously in the background. Considering Bill never left Danny during his earlier affairs, but somehow managed to abandon her for his daughter's friend, the pattern feels less like romance and more like chemical warfare. Elsewhere in the festival of implausibility, Ted and Shanice conveniently find themselves trapped in an elevator, because nothing says rekindled spark like forced proximity and questionable building maintenance. This budding energy would be charming if not for the ever-present Leslie, hovering like a storm cloud that refuses to drift. And yes, the Tide detergent cameo in Ashley's laundry basket suggests the advertising department is working overtime. If only they could throw a sponsorship Vanessa's way. She needs something strong enough to clean up the trail of chaos she insists on leaving behind. Here are your spoilers for Beyond the Gates on Thursday, December 4th, 2025. Thursday is just a day away from the end of the week, and with it, the Friday cliffhangers and surprises. Thursday builds the tension with several great scenes. In Thursday's episode, Anita goes to Elon for police assistance. What has Anita going to Elon instead of Vernon? Typically, these things are handled by Vernon so he can keep a lid on things. In Thursday's episode, Leslie needs Nicole's help, and it's a matter of life or death. This is awkward, Leslie now needing Nicole's help. The two have been on opposite sides of the chessboard most of the year, so seeing one go to the other for help is quite the twist. Life and death can have that effect, though. Let's just hope that it's not Peaches' life at risk. In Thursday's episode, an exchange between Samantha and her aunts causes quite a stir. Kat and Eva have been at loggerheads as long as Nicole and Leslie have been, but the hatred runs much deeper between Kat and her arch-nemesis Eva. Is Samantha going to take a side or try to mediate? This scene promises fun and drama. To close out Thursday's spoilers, this storyline comes back. In Thursday's episode, Chelsea and Madison struggle to see eye to eye, so they seek help from unexpected sources. This couple is still finding their way after Chelsea's kidnapping. When Chelsea decided she would try to repair the relationship between Maddie and her mom, it was immediately felt that she had overstepped. Again, this couple is having trouble seeing each other's point of view, but an unexpected source of wisdom may just be what they need to steady the ship. Bill would make an interesting choice for this, as he's not often given the chance to or the ear in these situations. One more day, soap fans, and we get Friday's big scenes and the following week's sneak peek. Beyond the Gates Daily YAPP for Wednesday, December 3rd. Welcome to the Beyond the Gates Daily YAPP. For a quick, and by that I mean you're already halfway done, recap of the most amazing or what the heck did we just watch moments on today's episode. Let's get to it. Who loved the scenes with Shanice and Ted today? We learned a lot more about Shanice, and Ted looked genuinely happy during what could have been a very stressful situation. I don't think we have seen Ted that happy unless it's been with Eva. Shanice, admittedly a church on Sunday type of girl, let us know that she can still turn up at the club when the spirit moves her. Can I get an amen, LOL? That was a great line, and just might feature in my Best of the Week article. When the scene started with Ted and Shanice colliding and paperwork spilling on the floor, was the hand touch a little bit of electricity? The lights flickered here, I thought. No wonder the elevator shorted out or something. A storm was building. Now, I don't know if this is going to be the start of something beautiful, but I'm not opposed to a Ted and Shanice storyline, and here's why. Once again, I'm talking about real chemistry, and Ted and Shanice have it in spades. The looks, the real smiles, nothing is forced, and these two must have some serious fun on set. Can't you just tell? And just maybe, I want to see Ted truly happy, and the look on Nicole's face when she sees it. Want more details? We got you! Soap Central has the best full recaps on the internet. You can even go back over 30 years and read each one of them. If you can't wait until the next episode, we have daily spoilers too. And whatever you do this weekend, do not forget to read the 2 scoops for some laughs in the as close as we can come to being a watching party without actually being a show. And the best part is, if you agree or disagree, we want to know. As always, share your comments below. On the Thursday, December 4th, episode of Beyond the Gates, the spoilers focus on Anita Dupree, who goes to Elon for police assistance. Meanwhile, Chelsea and Madison are struggling, and Samantha has an interesting chat with her aunts. It's unclear whether this conversation will end well. Needing and seeking help is a major theme in Thursday's episode. This time of year is super busy for Anita Williams Dupree. She has to somehow throw together a gigantic event like Winterfest. Thankfully, she has Laura on her side. Anita's unofficial duties include serving as a mediator, therapist, and advisor to her family members. Something else that's on her plate? She has to keep an eye on Vernon, who has secrets. According to the weekly spoilers, Anita goes to Elon for police assistance. Does this have to do with Winterfest or Leslie? Perhaps she wants to join in on protecting Martin from Joey Armstrong at all costs. What would cause Anita to pay a visit to her friend, the police chief? Danny is on her best behavior these days. Leslie Thomas is all about being in everybody's face until she needs something. On Thursday, Leslie needs Nicole's help, and it's a matter of life and death. This must have something to do with Peaches, who is very ill. Exactly what does Leslie need from Nicole? The teasers suggest that we're about to witness a potentially problematic discussion. An exchange between Samantha and her aunts causes quite a stir. If this conversation involves Samantha's aunts, it means we're about to get another interaction, confrontation, or battle royale between Kat and Eva. Maybe Samantha can channel her grandmother and great-grandmother and help smooth the rough edges of this heated rivalry. It's either that, or the teen will be forced to act as a referee to keep Kat and Eva apart. Chelsea is fresh off a vegan-friendly Thanksgiving with Madison's family. While there, she probably tried to get Madison and her mom to mend fences. Hopefully, she didn't try to meddle too much, but something tells us that we're about to find out. Apparently, Chelsea and Madison are still struggling to see eye to eye, so they seek help from unexpected sources. That rules Anita out. So who do they turn to? And will their relationship survive? On Monday, December 1st, Beyond the Gates kicked the week off Bravo style as Giselle Bryant and Wendy Osefo, from The Real Housewives of Potomac, guest starred as two Diva Country Club members who experienced a shock courtesy of Vanessa and her escort company. If anybody knows about living their best life in the DMV, it's Bryant, who recently chatted with Soap Hub about her fun appearance. It's an experience she says she would love to repeat. She needs to start some mess in that country club, okay? She needs to throw a party, she needs to start some drama, she needs to be somebody's mistress, she just needs to do it all. Now that Vanessa runs Joey's escort app, she solicits customers from several avenues, including the Fairmont Crest Country Club. Although after Monday's episode, she may be rethinking that strategy. When she enlisted two of the club's most elite members, things didn't go as expected. Vanessa has to deal with the icebergs. Honk. According to Danny, Vanessa gets on the wrong side of the icebergs when they realize they contacted the escort service. They are happy in their respective marriages, thank you very much. They have no need for such a thing. Bryant says she and Osefo filmed their appearance months ago, and she's glad the world finally got to see it. Working with Buglioli and Mosley was a great experience. They really made us feel super supported. They gave us clues and cheat sheets, Bryant explains. I wanted to make sure I was prepared, so I knew my lines and I was ready for action. While she had no trouble memorizing her lines, the entrepreneur adds that Buglioli and Mosley really put them at ease. They were like, we forget our lines all the time, so it's no big deal. It's okay, just relax, and it'll come. So that's what I did. To get into her character, she channeled someone familiar to Real Housewives fans. I dialed into my inner Karen Huger, she reveals. The Potomac alum and OG cast member had her own memorable guest star appearance in the debut episode of BTG. Listen, I've spent, in my real life, many a days in a country club, so I had many ladies that I have bumped into in those clubs to tap into to become my character. The reality TV star notes how there is a big difference between filming a soap and filming a non-scripted entity like our op. For a reality show, the cameras are just observers to what's going on with you and your life, and the girls. If you're sitting down at lunch, you're talking to whomever you're talking to, and they are following the reality. However, in the soap opera space, it's really like, okay, get on your mark and let's shoot this scene. So you have to be ready, you have to be prepared, and you have to be highly professional. There's a lot going on, and you can't waste anybody's time. Not only did the cast support Bryant and Osefo, but the behind-the-scenes crew, the hair, makeup, and wardrobe departments did too. The team that they have assembled, they are top-notch, the podcaster explains. I always say that housewife glam is top tier, right? The same thing goes for soap operas. They got me together, sat me in a chair, and turned me into a goddess. The ROP breakout had a really nice, poignant moment on set when somebody from the crew shared something heartfelt. The person told her that, "This is my mother's dream. She loves your show. She watches it all the time, and she's so excited that you guys are here." Bryant can relate, because her own mom watches Beyond the Gates every day, religiously. She was so happy that I was able to do it. Bryant recently came back from Las Vegas, where she participated in BravoCon, a fan convention that celebrates Bravo shows and the celebrities who populate the channel's various shows and franchises. Bryant says her experience there and filming BTG couldn't be more different. In fact, it's apples and oranges. BravoCon is a whole monster, in a great way. It's really nice to interact with the fans. Bravo fans are like no other. They are truly dialed into each and every moment that they watch as it relates to all the shows. With her BTG experience, she will undoubtedly get to know soap fans, which she is excited about. Something else to be excited for is the second half of ROP's 10th season. The back half is insane. We take a trip that it's Not to be compared to any other trip we've ever been on, she teases. The ladies are just wildin' out. They're doing their own thing, and we're trying to make it work. The Real Housewives of Potomac airs Sundays at 8 p.m. ET/PT on Bravo. Beyond the Gates is broadcast on weekdays on CBS and is available to stream on Paramount+. Take a look at Bryant's BTG appearance below.